I felt lost. I felt shame because everybody told us, this is gonna happen. We said no, we were different. I didn't know what to do.
Something was stolen from me. I felt like I was never gonna be happy again. I felt like life wasn't really gonna be ever the same.
I think from a very early age, I always felt like that there was this sense of, I don't belong. I'm constantly being placed into these situations where I'm this square peg trying to fit this round hole. My family, we immigrated from Korea. I was about 4 years old when I came over with my dad. My mom had actually gotten her visa a year prior and took that opportunity to exit from our lives. And then later on, when we immigrated to the States, my dad, in order to kind of find his way in the States, dropped me off and left me for adoption by his sister, my aunt. I felt pretty abandoned. On top of that, I was in a new country and had to learn new customs and new language and new culture, and everybody looked different from me. And not only that, because I looked different from them, they responded in a certain fashion towards me. That was kind of a pivotal point for me, because that's when I told myself, like, I'm going to chameleon myself and fashion myself in such a way that I can gain acceptance by anybody. The things that I would do in order to gain acceptance became kind of grander and larger, and then when I became an adult, it would become a bit more self-destructive.
I was born and raised in Minnesota, Minneapolis, Minnesota. It was a very dysfunctional family. A lot of arguing, a lot of fighting, a lot of my mom kicking my dad out constantly. In June of 2000, my dad had committed suicide, and he also took my mom's life as well. We were basically put on a plane and flew across the country to California with my uncle, where we started our life all over again. It was terrifying. I didn't know what to expect. I was scared. I felt somewhat alone and abandoned. I didn't voice any of this because I felt like it was my job now, as the older sibling for my two younger brothers moving here, that I needed to be strong and just put on that fake smile for them. I felt a lot of pressure, a lot of responsibility.
I met my husband when we were in high school, but we didn't date in high school. We didn't start dating until I was in college. He proposed to me, and we had only been together for maybe about 1.5 years, but that's usually how military relationships go. Everybody advised us not to. Our family said we were too young and it was too soon, but we thought we were in love and we thought we were gonna have an amazing, perfect marriage. Maybe 3 to 5 months after we got married, we went through our first deployment. Things started getting really rough when he came back. It was different from when he first left. He just kind of wanted to do his own thing. He was, used to being on his own, and started to spiral into just trust issues. So we kind of had like a separation. And then he came back from his deployment. It was a 7-month deployment. A few months later, I became pregnant with my son, Atlas. At this point, we thought we were gonna get a divorce, even though we already had Atlas. We just thought it was the best thing for all of us.
I started partying real hard, and that was how I gained acceptance with my friends. And that's just how I kind of survived through college, was just living the lifestyle that my friends lived. I had filled this hole in my heart with so much stuff, with alcohol, with money, drugs, sex. And one night, I asked a friend if I could crash on her couch after partying. And she said, yes, you can crash on my couch, but the next morning, we're going to church. I landed up exactly where God wanted me. Having this out-of-body experience was once again kind of feeling like, I don't belong here. I don't belong at this church. This is the last place where I belong. We all just kind of got corralled into this room. And walking in the hallway towards the room, I remember talking to God for the first time in 12 years and telling him, you must have crafted this situation, and you know what I've been through. So I'm just gonna, when they ask for new people's introductions and who you are, I'm just gonna tell them everything. And I'm gonna look for one stray glance. I'm just gonna look for one judgmental look, and then I'm out. I remember the pastor telling me that I didn't have to be a righteous person, that they were just glad that I was there. My search for belonging, it was over.
So we started going to a counselor, and we actually didn't know, but she's a Christian counselor. At one point, she started talking about God to us. We decided to go to a Christian church. The pastor went up and spoke, and then at one point he said, if you're ready to accept God into your life, come up to the stage. And I looked over to Andrew and I said, I'm gonna go up. And he thought that I said, I'm like ready to go, like let's leave. And it turns out he ended up going up with me because he didn't want to leave on his own. I felt this, I can't even describe it. It was like a weight on my chest, and I feel like it was the Holy Spirit, saying, this is it. This is when your life is gonna change. And it did. We both accepted God that day.
I've always tried to control every circumstance on my own. I always tend to worry myself sick, overthink things, always worrying about next week or 2 weeks from now, and I've learned that I just need to be still. It's just some things are just out of your control, and I need to learn that I just need to give it to God. At this point, I was able to say, this is yours. I'm giving this to you because I can no longer bear this weight on my shoulders.
Even though he's thousands of miles away right now, he and I are probably the closest we've ever been. Just become better individuals, better as a couple, better parents, better followers of God.
And that's where I realized, like, I belong to someone. I belong to, my origin is God. My origin is in heaven, that I'm accepted by him, unconditionally.
It's because God gave his one and only son. He gave his life. And because of that, I have his grace. I have God's grace. I am able to be who I am today because of that.